Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassisms video. This Degrassisms video is all about your favorite characters from each of the so-called graduating classes in Degrassi history. My first video in the series will contain those characters from the class of 2007. I know I'm going a little bit out of order, but I'm going through with this. Anyhow, so the class of 2007 had some memorable characters, and their graduation happened at the end of season 7. You know, the prom episode that saw Degrassi and Lakehurst get separate graduations because Lakehurst came in to Degrassi because of their fire, and you know Degrassi didn't think that Lakehurst deserved to be in their graduation ceremonies, and I think Lakehurst said that way too. We had some interesting characters and all of that. And just want to tell you the top 6 characters from that season that the fans voted on. So, of course, this is the fan voting. So, number 6 was Toby. Kind of typical, don't you think, that Toby would be the worst of the 6 because Toby basically was ghosted in a sense. So, Toby was supposed to be this key character in season 1 with Ashley, his stepsister. It raised a good dynamic and all that. Toby was going to be the breakout star. He was in the first ever episode, Mother and Child Reunion. He helped get Emma out of trouble with that catfisher. So Emma being catfished was not the smartest thing. But anyway, Toby deserved a lot better. Toby had his issues because, his parents hated each other, and Toby wanted to make sure that they don't go to parents' night. Because they hate each other. Toby forges some documents. It doesn't work out. Toby realizes that he's got to take responsibility for his actions. Simpson is not too happy with, the forgeries and all that, and forces Toby to do a massive essay. However, Simpson does tell Toby that, I'm proud of you for taking the right steps. So anyway, yeah. But Toby by season 2 is more of an afterthought. His eating disorder episode was basically underrated. I mean, it shows that guys can have eating disorders too. Well, Toby's trying to impress Kendra, who is Spinner's adopted sister. And so basically, he tries out for the wrestling team. He's in the same weight class as Sean, who's a star wrestler. So Toby tries to lose weight so they can get in a better weight class. Unfortunately, though, he gets in trouble. JT realizes his laxatives problems, tries to help Toby out. Toby collapses before his wrestling match, and he gets booted off the team because he's taking his life into action. Like, cutting weight is not really that great. All that. Toby realizes that now he's basically laughed at. JT says that, people were generally concerned about him. Sean even was concerned, and so was Kendra. And Toby then learns not to be himself. Unfortunately, Toby loses JT as a friend by season 3 and is lost and all that. In a sense, he was looking for a friendship, and in season 4, he found Rick, even though that Rick was being targeted for hurting Terry. So Toby befriends Rick, gets in trouble with Spinner and Jay on a couple of occasions. Toby's there when Sean and Rick wrestle for the gun while Emma almost dies. Toby tries to figure things out. He's got this problem. He doesn't know if Rick really was his friend. He feels bad for Rick, but he also feels terrible that Rick would avoid Toby trying to stop him and would shoot Emma. So Toby got JT back as a friend. And then, they were together for a few seasons. Toby was an afterthought for a while. And heck, in season 7, he wasn't even in the opening credits, even though he was in plenty of episodes. That's how bad things are for Toby. He gets ghosted. He's basically the number 1 most shafted character in Degrassi history. I think I did a poll on that. I feel bad for Toby. Number 5 was Liberty, which actually shocked me because I'm like, Liberty was put that low on the list of the 6 people. Well, Liberty is basically this go-getter from season 1 onwards. She pushes people away. She's got personality issues. She's just go, go, go. She was the victim of gossip when it was alleged that Armstrong had something for Liberty when he put his arm around Liberty to help her deal with her dyscalculia, which is basically dyslexia, but with math. So, Liberty was upset that Emma would spread that rumor, although Emma gets completely blamed for her problems, but shouldn't. Um, she has a crush on JT. JT doesn't return the crush. And, Liberty is this pushy person. Season 2, there were 2 examples. Number 1 was when she loses the science fair project to Emma, and she's upset and finds out that Emma, one of the judges, was Snake, who, was dating Emma's mom. And so Liberty says that, you can give the trophy to me, it'll be great. And Manny says she's just jealous because she doesn't win. And Liberty says, don't worry about rumors about Simpson dating your mom, because rumors can ruin someone. I got victimized by that. Basically smirking at Emma. Now, the problem with that is that, okay, Liberty's a sore loser. But the fact is, Emma wanted to give back the trophy in the first place. Emma had the thinking to do that in the first place, and Liberty was wrong. And then second of all, when Liberty was made to be team manager of the floor hockey team, she doesn't like her job, but says she could be a better coach. So she does the tactics of Napoleon and tries to help the team out, but the team basically fight against her. And, Liberty seems to lose and all that. Liberty just pushes things a little too far. Liberty pushed Emma away in season 4 because Liberty wanted to be with Chris. I don't know why Liberty and Towers broke up, but Liberty and Chris, but, Emma tried to prevent that from happening. But, Liberty was a go-getter and all that. Liberty in season 4 was part of the catalyst to get Raj to try to change his mind about canceling Dracula because of the gory nature, and just after Rick died. She sings the Radish's song to him. Raj overreacts, as he seems to do, or doesn't take constructive criticism, and practically he puts Liberty and JT in detention, and then they finally find they have true feelings for each other. And then season 5, she gets impregnated by JT. Her storyline was kind of realistic in a sense, but it basically painted a picture of JT's point of view instead of Liberty's point of view. Liberty has her kid, has to give it up because of JT's antics and all of that, and realizes she has postpartum, but her parents don't believe her and say, suck it up, buttercup. And then season 6, she's upset when JT is dating Mia. I think in a sense that she was upset that she pushed JT away. It was her fault. And she tried to push her way through JT and Mia's relationship. But JT realized Liberty was just jealous. And then when JT gets stabbed, Liberty finds them and does the primal scream. And then is upset when JT dies. I mean, there's this great Degrassism mini when she sees him. But then, the next episode after JT dies, she gets accused of Mia of being a freaking robot. And so she tries to get her true feelings out there, but it doesn't work out. Liberty was basically shafted. Maybe it was because of the color of her skin. Probably not. I hope not. But yeah, Liberty deserved better in a sense. And Liberty in season 7 dated Damien when he was supposed to be with Emma. But thankfully for Liberty, Emma does not push the issue with Liberty and says that, they had the prom, they had Natasha Bedingfield there. And, at the graduation ceremony, Emma tells Liberty that it's Damien who's the bad guy, not her. So Liberty smiles and all that. And, Liberty goes to Smithdale with Manny and Emma, I guess as a way of preventing herself from being Damien because it would bring back some bad memories, and she didn't want to hurt Emma's feelings, which she should have. And then Liberty goes to pre-law and all that and is okay. Okay. Number 4 on the list was Emma. Now I can see the Emma hate coming through and all that. I look at the 3 people above her and I say that number 3 should have been her, if anything, but it's on my list. So anyway, Emma was the protagonist of Degrassi Next Gen. She was born in Degrassi Junior High/High, and then, she would go into middle school and all that, and her trials and tribulations. I can go on and on and on about Emma's stuff, but obviously I kind of got a time restraint, and I don't want to, bore you guys. So Emma, in the first ever episode, ends up being catfished. Before catfishing was in the lexicon. She would think that Jordan would save her, but Jordan's middle-aged man who's taken advantage of her. Thankfully, JT, Manny, and Toby all save her butt, and Emma learns that she needs to talk more. Emma, of course, gets in trouble in season 1 when she thinks that Liberty is being groped by Coach Armstrong. It's not explained why Emma thought this way because, she got catfished and she felt a little uncomfortable with things. Emma does apologize for everything and Liberty snaps back at her, but I guess it's more than Emma unfortunately has a fit when Manny wants to join the Spirit Squad, saying that, cheerleading is sexist, although Paige said, don't worry about it, we're going to have men on the team. But no, it's not the gender that's the issue, it's the sexualization. It's the identity as cheerleaders as being easy, ditzy, and all that. Emma writes a scathing editorial and all that. And, Manny takes her to task, I think. What else in season 1 got Emma Stander up? Can't remember. Oh, yeah, Sean. She has a relationship with Sean. Sean gets so pissed off at Jimmy that he fights Jimmy and then accidentally knocks Emma out. And, Emma breaks up with Sean. Then season 2 is when Emma's at her worst. She's basically triggered all the time. She's upset when Spike is dating Snake. I mean, what student wouldn't be upset that their mom's or dad is going to date their teacher? So she has problems with it. She has issues thinking that she's going to lose Spike, but she doesn't. Snake grows close to Emma, and Emma finally grows close to Snake, and then she gets pissed off when Spike wants to abort baby Jack, saying that I don't want a second mistake. Emma takes it angrily. She can't let it go. She goes to Snake and all that with the problems. Like, Emma was known for making mountains out of molehills. That's basically, season 2 was her worst. And then, she got angry at Raj with Fight for Your Rights, saying that Raj doesn't care about our GMO foods thing. That's it. We should have non-GMO foods. But Raj basically says that, it's budgetary issues. And not too many teenagers know how much money runs to run a school. So, of course, Emma gets upset. She is willing to give up on her crusade, but a cafeteria commercial gets her very triggered. She gets in trouble for starting a food fight, which she accidentally did. Raj just wanted to get rid of her. Emma protests. Raj forces Emma to apologize for everything, or else facing lengthy suspension. She does apologize for the food fight and does apologize for the cafeteria. But she then says that Raj is stifling my free speech and threatening me with a suspension, so I'm going to take it. And, of course, Raj goes through with it because, Emma did all that. And I think Raj still had a gripe against Emma. All that for a few seasons. And possibly Raj's gripe on Emma might have, if it came out to Snake, Snake would have broken off with Raj, and Raj lost his true ally, his last ally. But that's season 4. And then season 3, she gets a new sibling in the world, and then, she has to deal with trying to find her birth dad because she wants to find out information, and Spike's of no help. She finds her dad somehow, and Spike's not too happy with it. But Snake does the right thing by telling Emma about Shane's past and all that, with raising Emma and all that. And Emma said, well, why didn't Spike tell me? And Snake says, she was waiting till you were a little older, but that was the wrong move. And then Emma got to appreciate Snake and Spike a bit more because of that. And then she had the issues with Manny being sexualizing herself, so Emma's kind of a prude and all that and breaks off with Manny's friends, well, especially after Manny left her at a rave to sleep with Craig in her own bedroom, in Emma's bedroom. And then she has the issues with Manny wanting to abort the baby after she was impregnated by Craig. But then she decides to stand up for Manny, which actually shocked me a little bit, is that I thought that Emma was so pissed off at Manny that she wasn't willing to help Manny out. I mean, Emma tells Craig that I agree with everything, but it's her body and her choice. And if she wasn't my best friend, I'd be mad. And I'm like thinking to myself, when did Emma and Manny come back to being friends? I thought they broke off for good. So, yeah. And my guess is that possibly Spike may have talked to Emma about supporting Manny, or basically Emma was so upset not having a best friend, she needed some help to get her back. And it didn't help that Sean broke off with Emma in season 3 because of, well, being close to Jay and the Candy Bandits. And then Emma goes with Chris, I think probably to make Sean jealous. And then once Sean breaks off from the gang and dates Ellie. Then Emma realizes that she doesn't need Chris, so she breaks up with him. And then for some dumb reason, she decides to not let Chris be Liberty because it's going to hurt Emma's personality. And I'm like, what the hell, Emma? And then she gets broken off as friends by Manny and Liberty. And then she joins Paige's silent campaign to get rid of Rick. I mean, Radish did trigger her again. I didn't really learn. And then, Emma is thrown off Paige's clique because she protects Rick from a savage beating. She's left friendless. All she has for comfort is the Wacky Brain team, with the quiz team with Rick, Toby, and Hedda Sinclair, soon to be replaced by Jimmy. And then, Emma tells Rick that no one's going to care about the paint and feathers. They're going to care about the trivia competition. Yeah, right, Emma. And then she gets kissed by him, and she yells at him, saying that I pitied you, get a clue. And then that's when Rick decides to take the gun. But that was to get to Paige first. And then he conveniently finds Emma. Emma almost dies. Emma has her problems or PTSD, which was not properly invested in. And, she was giving oral sex to Jay, like, blowjobs to Jay and all that. Everyone thought that Emma would bounce back because Emma always bounced back, and she just couldn't bounce back this time. She kind of does after she gets gonorrhea and all that, but she's kind of ignored. She goes with Peter in season 5, despite the fact that Peter ruins Manny. And then all of a sudden, Emma thinks she's in control, but, she has an eating disorder. She collapses. She has to finish. She has to clean up her act and all that. She's still with Peter in season 6. Sean comes back out of freaking nowhere. Emma goes with Sean after realizing Peter wanted to ruin Sean in the worst possible way. And then, Sean leaves Emma for the army. Emma feels dismayed and all that. And then, of course, you have the fact that Emma had to deal with the JT stabbing because, it's happenstance from her house at a party they should not have thrown with Snake and Spike out of the town. So she feels upset, especially with Manny moving back home. She tries to tell Manny how she feels about the situation, but it comes off incorrectly. Emma had a right to get mad and all that. But Snake and Manny remind her about what she is. And that kind of turns Emma into a clingy friend and a clingy girlfriend to all that. Because, she's trying to cling on to a boyfriend so that she could possibly feel good about herself. In season 8, she was very clingy because she got Manny and Liberty to be at the same dorm room as her. She had separation anxiety. She was pushing Kelly with a lot of things, even though that, why was Kelly still with Emma after Emma trying to push him away? Kelly goes back to the Yukon. Emma feels all by herself. She drops out of school and feels bad. And then she marries Spinner for some odd reason. Sorry about the long diatribe. But anyway, number 3 is Sean. So you voted Sean at number 3. Okay, I get it. Sean came in the first, second or third episode? He came in and Emma swooned over him. He was a bad boy, and Emma thought she could change him. And all that. Sean had a lot of anger issues, especially towards Jimmy, insulting Sean for being a year back and all that. So, of course, Sean fights Jimmy, and Emma gets involved and accidentally gets hurt by Sean. Sean struggles with his grades, struggles with, trying to be a good guy, but, he's a bad guy, all that. And then in season 3, it's revealed that Sean once deafened a boy and all that, thanks to Jay. And Jay recruits Sean to his Candy Bandits. That was how Jay did that. So Sean stays with the Candy Bandits, with Alex, Amy, Towers, and Jay. Emma tries to say that you shouldn't be this way, and Sean doesn't like it. Sean steals stuff to impress Jay and his group. Of course, he sells it too quickly. Raj can't do that, but Raj puts him in detention for 8 weeks for insulting him. I think that, in a sense, is a way of saying that Radish is a bad guy. But, Sean stole the stuff, and, you can't recover it. So Sean, has a chip on his shoulder, thinking that people hate his guts and all that. And then, Sean's put in Saturday detention and connects with Ellie because they're both lost souls. And then that's when Sean and Ellie become a pairing. And then Sean is told to put his grades up so that he could get student welfare because, Tracker wants to go to, his brother wants to go to Alberta, and Sean wants to stay in Ontario and finish his schooling. So he somehow does that, and then he's involved in the Rick Murray situation in season 4 because he's walking with Toby and Emma, and they face Rick the shooter. And Sean does what a police officer should do: try to calm down the shooter. And he seems to do it, but Rick says, I can't go back. I already shot somebody. And then Sean wrestles Rick for the gun. Gun goes off. Sean's got a patch on his arm and all that. It's like, whew, maybe he got shot. But then we soon learned that the gun actually hit Rick and Rick died. Sean feels great. He's a hero. He's lauded and all that. People like him. And then, his parents make a statement on the TV. Sean goes back to Wasaka Beach to deal with them and his victim in the bullying thing, Tyler, who was deafened and all that. So Sean then tries to run away from his problems. Ellie tries to help him deal with it, but Sean decides to get on a jet ski. He is off the jet ski. Thankfully, Tyler saves his life because that's what Tyler does. And Sean then opens up to Emma saying he felt bad for hurting Emma the year prior. And then he opens up to his parents about the fact that he had PTSD because he shot the boy and he was upset because Rick was going to kill Emma. Sean stays at Wasaka Beach to deal with his PTSD and all that, putting both Ellie and Emma in bad taste. And then season 6, he comes back out of freaking nowhere for Emma, saying that, Sean felt great for being with Emma. He was going to enroll in Degrassi and all that, but Peter upset over the fact that Sean was barging in on trying to steal Emma back. Well, Manny did. What Manny did say about Sean and Emma, but I think Manny did that on purpose. But that's a fair assessment. And then, Sean gets victimized by drugs in his locker, which Peter planted to get rid of Sean so that he could be with Emma. Sean then has a street race with Peter for Emma's affection, but Sean hits the guy and goes to jail for it. And, Sean is freed by public defender after everything popped up. And Peter was the bad guy. So he stays with Emma, or almost doesn't, because he finds out about Emma and Jay at the ravine. But Jay tries to stand up, saying that, Emma was in a tight spot. And I didn't feel good about it. But thankfully, a picture that Emma and Sean took on their first date brings him back to her. And he cherishes her. But then he goes to the army because, he's out of school because of the fake drugs. And even though that, Simpson could have tried to get Hatzalakos to bring him back to school, Sean's like, it's pointless. So Sean leaves for the army, leaving Emma high and dry. And he comes back for a little bit in season 7, but, he's off again and we don't know what happened to him. Number 2 is JT. We voted JT as the second best person in the class of 2007. And I can see why. Well, JT was memorable for being a jokester and being comic relief and all that. But he had some great storylines. He had a tragic past because in season 5, when he impregnates Liberty and they talk to JT's grandmother, it's found out that JT's grandmother has been raising him with his mother. And I think his mother's dead. And his father left JT high and dry. And the grandmother says, I don't want you abandoning this child like your father abandoned you. JT says, I'm not going to be like my dad. I am going to help. I'm going to be the best father possible. Poor JT. But the simple fact is that, JT had some storylines. He got in with a crowd and left Toby high and dry. JT and Toby were inseparable. But then, JT goes with Danny in season 4 as friends. I guess as a way to get to Liberty. I don't know. But, he insults Toby about being friends with Rick, but Manny chews JT out, and JT apologizes for everything, saying that it doesn't matter how I feel about him. This should never have happened in the first place. And Toby nods. So JT and Toby are together. JT gets in love with Liberty, because as I explained in the whole Dracula situation, and then, he impregnates her and decides to leave his TV job to be a pharmaceutical assistant so that he can pay for a good place with Liberty. But, it doesn't work out, and JT is told by Jay to sell pills, because you can get all that money. JT gets in trouble with a drug dealer. Liberty forces him to try to give it up, and JT tries to get it up, but the drug dealer says no. And then JT decides to take some medication because his relationship with Liberty's gone sour. He's going to get in trouble with the law for taking the Vicodin and all that. He just couldn't make it work, and he decides to off himself. Fortunately, though, he survives, although he has to go through counseling and all that. Liberty breaks up with JT and says, I'm giving up this kid because of all this. And it's like Liberty's pushing JT too far. JT recovers from his problems. He goes towards Mia in season 6 because, Mia has a 2-year-old, and JT thinks that he could be a good father, surrogate father, in a sense, because, Lucas is no help, doesn't help Mia. And then all of a sudden, JT and Mia are the subject of Liberty's rage and all that and scorn. At the party for Liberty, JT wants to declare his feelings for Mia, but then, of course, JT is involved with Lakehurst, who wanted to destroy JT for being with Mia and all that. Because Nix was upset that JT would date his ex. So practically, JT tries to have his feelings and decides to go towards Liberty, saying oatmeal over an Italian sub. And Toby tells him to go towards Liberty. So JT looks for Liberty, but then Johnny DeMarco and Drake Lampley piss him off, and then Drake Lampley decides to stab him in the aorta. JT bleeds out. He dies instantly. And people were grieving for JT and all that. He should not have gone. Of course, we know the story that Ryan Cooley, the guy who played JT, wanted to go out because he wanted to go to college. And he was set in a gory fashion. But I mean, JT could have died in a different way, left the show in a different way by getting an acting job elsewhere. Just saying. And number 1 by far was Manny. Queen Manny, as everyone calls her. The girl that was trying to be more mature than she was. She had some good fashion stuff, including the thong outside the pants, which, pissed off the establishment, aka Radish. But every school had that as a dress code situation. It wasn't Radish being a prude. It was just the fact that it happens. And this was the 2000s. Yeah, Manny thought she needed to put out for Sully in season 3, and Paige tells her all these things. Manny in season 1 gets on the Spirit Squad, taking Emma off in the process. Manny wanted to do her thing, and Emma was not too happy about it. Manny was part of the group to help Emma out with her catfishing in season 1. Season 2, she tries to calm Emma down, who was hysterical over the fact, Spike and Snake's wedding were ruined by a bad hair day, a bad cake, and Sean being invited to the wedding, even though Emma doesn't want to do anything with Sean because, of the volatile season 1 end. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, she tries to tell Emma to stop being so over dramatic, but Emma doesn't listen to Manny and says that you're not a good friend and all that. So Manny tries to, change her look and all that, but ticks off Emma in the process, who wants Manny to be with JT. Like, well, JT likes you. You don't have to put up for a guy. The guy's happy with you. But then, Manny invites Emma to a rave to be with Chris, but Emma realizes Chris has a girlfriend and does not want to go near Chris. So anyway, Manny and Emma have a big blow-off while Manny steals Craig from Ashley's clutches and all that, and has sex with Craig in Emma's bed, mind you. Manny and Emma break off as friends. Manny ends up getting pregnant. Spike tells her that, her family might help out with the situation, but Manny says, I don't think so, because I have a cousin who got pregnant and was shipped to the Philippines in a convent, because Manny was originally from the Philippines. So Manny ends up trying to tell on herself. She goes through the abortion because she's not ready to be a mom and all that. Thankfully, Manny's mom is okay with it. Manny's dad does not know about it. Thankfully, Manny gets help from Emma on Craig's scorn. I mean, yeah, Craig had a reason to be upset. Craig basically is a great guy and all that. Manny has flings with JT and Craig in season 4. She famously left Emma high and dry to, making Emma not have friends. But in Manny's mind, it was well deserved. Manny tries to help Emma deal with her things with Jay and all that, saying that this is not the Emma we all know and love. And then season 5, Manny tries to be an actress and tries to get enhancements and all that. I mean, her mom's okay with it, but her dad's not okay with it. And then Manny gets taken advantage of by Peter. And Manny tries to tell Peter that Emma's close to him, but Peter doesn't listen. Peter gets Manny topless saying, I'm going to be famous. And so that's what happened. Manny gets in trouble because Peter refuses to listen to reason. Manny gets kicked out of her home, not because of the video, but because of her being an actress, and her dad was not too pleased with it. Emma swoops in to allow Manny to stay with her family, and they have a good dynamic. Unfortunately, Emma seemed to be a little controlling and all that. Manny wanted to lose weight for a role, but didn't know that Emma was going to take control of everything and said she needed to stop because she did everything. Unfortunately, though, Manny was concerned about Emma and all that. Emma was upset when Manny was with Peter. Like in that, even though that, the topless video, it's like, I know that place. That's Peter's place. How dare you try to steal my man? And, Emma was desperate for a guy, I guess, because of the shooting. Fight me on that. But as is, Manny is upset that Peter and Emma are dating and all that. Emma tries to prevent Manny from telling Spike and Snake about the eating disorder by saying she's with Peter, but it doesn't work out. Manny helps organize a intervention to try to help Emma with the problems, but Emma blows off everybody and then collapses. Thankfully, Manny saves the day in a sense. And, the Manny Emma friendship, I mean, it's a toxic relationship at times, but, Emma was just trying to do her best to help Manny out, and it just was taken incorrectly, or Emma did it wrong. Manny stayed with Emma till they have that ill-fated party for JT, and then JT gets stabbed, and then Manny is told to come home. Emma is upset, thinking that she's losing an ally. Manny assures Emma everything will be fine, but Manny finds herself busy with schoolwork, the Spirit Squad, because Degrassi was hosting a cheerleading competition, and being with Damien. I mean, why would she be with Damien? And all that. Okay, the cheerleading is one thing, but, it made Emma lose her mind and all that. So Manny and Damien were for a while. Manny tells Emma that all the problems we have, we can do together. We're a team. And that kind of pushes Emma's clingy friend phase. Manny then decided to be blonde in season 7, black. She ends up helping Darcy with her rape problems because Darcy was about to jump off the roof. Remember, Darcy tagged with Manny and Peter at a ski thing, and Darcy got roofied. So Manny protects Darcy from being off the roof. And, of course, tells Darcy to tell everyone about the fact she lied about Snake's problems. And I didn't mention about Emma's thing in season 7 is that Emma stayed with Snake in season 7 even though Snake was facing backlash, and Spike didn't really help him out. I don't know why. But yeah, as is, Manny helps Darcy get through with her problems, and then Manny starts dating Jay in season 7, I guess to get back at her parents. But her parents are okay with the relationship. Manny and Jay go through their ups and downs and all that. Unlike with Jay in season 7. And obviously Jay didn't tell anyone about his involvement with the Rick situation. Spinner should have said something, but yeah. But yeah, Manny was Queen Manny. She was amazing. She became an actress at the end of season 8's Degrassi Goes Hollywood, and she was pretty good, but her self-esteem issues were a little bit off. I don't know. It's just me. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jump Diamond W.